Starting now then?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So this video, we're gonna kind of show you some things to watch out for when looking at buying a diesel conversion, and also kind of like things to take a notice of when going to do a diesel conversion. So this right here was a good example of kind of what to watch out for. It is a, I think, an early 80s body power ram with a Cummins conversion in it. First thing to look out for, not look out for, but that you're gonna have to kind of worry about if you're looking at buying a conversion is parts. They're usually a mishmash of different years of parts. Like this thing is an 80s body. The dash and dash harness is out of a 92 first gen.
It's got the glow plug lights.
Yeah, so they had to change the dash harness and everything. Not just the harness, but the whole dash.
Or glow plug lights. Cummins don't have glow plugs.
No, grid heater.
Grid heater.
And then the engine and transmission, and I believe transfer case. No, the transfer case is something different too. I don't know what it is. It's not, it doesn't match the engine. But the transmission and transfer case are out of a 94 to 95 Cummins. So we have 94/95, 92, and 80s. Whole variety of things. The axles, I'm not sure what they are. I think that one's a Dana 70. The front one's probably a 60.
And they've got lockers.
Yeah, and they got lockers, but it's an open diff.
Does nothing.
So if you can lock the wheels all you want, it's still just going to spin.
But it looks cool.
But it does look cool, and they work very good. Like, these are the best stinking lockers I've ever seen. Easiest to operate.
If only they actually lock the diff.
Yeah. Another thing to watch for, or a cautionary tale of doing a conversion, extra wiring. This thing still has the original harness in it. So I don't know what this is for, but it's got some wires running through it, and all these wires don't go anywhere. And all this fun stuff right here. I don't know what it's all for, but the transmission doesn't go into overdrive or lockup. So something like this chilling with some electrical tape and stuff on it could very well be the reason. Major thing on at least this conversion was the fuel system. So the guy that this guy bought this conversion off of said he swapped out the fuel tank for a tank that was out of a diesel truck. He did not.
He lied.
So the whole reason this truck was in here was the side tappet cover was leaking, and we had to replace that. To replace that, you have to pull the injection pump. We pulled the injection pump, put it back on, and the rack stuck.
Hard.
Like it was gonna rev right out. The rack stuck at like wide open throttle inside the injection pump. And so we're like, what the heck? Why is that happening? So we tried running stuff through it to free it up, and we decided to pull the pump, pull the fuel filter off, change the fuel filter, and this was the biggest surprise in the fuel filter. So Buddy allegedly changed out the fuel tank, but when we cut the fuel filter apart, he did not. He did not change the fuel tank. It still had the gas tank in it with old gas in it.
And a lot of old gas in it.
Yeah, a lot of old gas in it. So here was the filter covered in like varnish and Varsol and just like, I don't even know what to call it. It was just goo. Here's a delivery valve. This is how they're supposed to work. Like the delivery valve comes out of the holder. Ones out of this truck, you can't even push them out. They have that goo all inside of them. Here is a plunger from down inside the pump. You can see on here all these little black deposits, maybe.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. That's all crap.
Straight Varsol.
Stuck the rack. So usually, like if stuff is still running, deposits like that will stay suspended in the fuel and in the pump. not suspended in the fuel, but they'll stay where they are in the pump. But when you drain the pump, those deposits will like dry up, crack off, and then when you reprime the pump, all of that crap inside the lines will go up into the pump, jam the rack. So basically this whole truck, the P-pump got a rebuild. We put BD diesel 45 horse over injectors in it, took the fuel lines, the fuel hard lines like on the injectors, feed and return hard lines from the fuel filter, put them in a caustic acid bath at my machine shop, and that ate all the shit out of them. And cleaned them out, put them back on, new injectors in, rebuilt injection pump, cleaned out the fuel filter housing. So these ones, the filter threads onto like the block, or not the block, the head. And
Yeah, it's like a thing off of the
Yeah,
head,
it's like a
yeah.
thing off of the head. So we took a wire brush and cleaned all the crap out of there. Ran new fuel lines to the tank, dropped the tank. That was super, super nice too. This is what was in the tank.
Mind you, that was a clean bucket before.
Yeah,
Like,
all that
brand new
goo
bucket.
was out of the fuel tank on this thing.
It's kind of like when you never do like your transmission ever, and then you buy one, and then somebody does transmission, and it just goes.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. So after dropping the tank, the owner took it and got it steam cleaned twice because the first time didn't get all the crap out. Then they cleaned it again. It got all the sputs out, but it needed a new sending unit because the brass float that was in the factory sender had a hole in it, so the fuel gauge didn't work. So he found one. I had to modify it to make it work because it was a gas sending unit. So the return line was a 1/4 inch, the feed line was 5/16, and on this truck from factory, I know 1/2 inch is better with a fast, but we didn't want to go that route, or a customer didn't want to go that route. So I had to put a sump, not a sump, but a draw straw into it with a 3/8 feed, and then use the 5/16 feed off of the sender and use it as a return, and then just cap the 1/4 inch. I think I used the 1/4 inch as a vent.
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But anyway. So yeah, that was a lot of fun on this thing.
It was eventful.
It was a few surprises for us and for the customer.
It was not.
No, she wasn't Old Faithful when he bought her.
No.
That's for darn sure. But now it runs good, drives good, just doesn't go into overdrive or lockup, but he's going to sort through the electrical components, and chances are there's just something in there that's not working properly and is not happy. So, yeah, those are just kind of some things to watch out for when you're buying it. When you're buying something like this, something unique, it's always best to kind of do it yourself, so then you know everything's done, because let's face it, there's a lot of crappy people out there that will, when they're selling stuff, say, oh yeah, it's all good, it's all done, all ready to go, and it's not. It's really not ready to go.
It
And
was
there's some stuff
I can't fix this. Let me sell it as good, and then now it's not my problem anymore.
Or someone ran out of money to do it, and yeah, told them everything was done, but it really wasn't. So that's kind of the bad to look for on this. Well, that was the bad of this thing. Now here's the good. It's a very unique build. I've never seen a crew cab 2nd gen before. Crew cab 1st gen before.
I didn't even know they made them until this thing.
I didn't either. But it is neat. Like it's a neat build. It's pretty cool.
The patina on it. But
I mean,
the bed needs to be the same green, I think.
Is it my kind of build? Not really. Personally, I probably would have went common rail in something like this, just because I like the common rail better. 12 valve power is 12 valve power, but this is the 1st gen. She's not a powerhouse, but it'll get you going. It'll get you to where you need to go.
You say you're a common rail guy?
I like common rail.
You've never even had one.
Look,
Your
my
pull
Duramax is common rail.
I guess. Common rail Cummins you've never had.
That's true, but
Like your
I had a
pull
VP
motors.
truck. I converted it to a P pump, After I convert it to a P pump, like you can get more power out of them, but I kind of missed the electronics portion of tuning when I didn't have to get out tools to adjust fuel.
To tune.
I mean, now you can do it with AFC Live or something like that.
Yeah.
But
the cool thing is it's got and back benches.
yeah, you can fit all the people in this baby.
The front bench is she's a little chooch though.
You don't like the duct tape?
No, you drive it and you're just
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's an old truck. It's from like the 80s. So you can't
your seat is built-in suspension.
Yeah, pretty much, because those leaf springs ain't doing nothing for you.
No, they're not.
I'm not knocking on the build. Everybody has their own thing. It is a nice truck. It is very unique. It's original. Well, coming swapping something is not that original, but what the truck is original. Everybody's builds are unique. They're all good. I'm not trying to knock it.
Well,
I've had people knocking my build on my 6-liter. Oh, why are you putting a worse transmission in? Well,
you don't know
leave
what you're
people
talking
alone.
about.
You don't know what my goals are for the truck. I didn't know what this person's goals are for the truck. Don't knock people's builds. Everybody is doing something for a reason, either the cool factor or just what they want to do.
Just want to do it.
If somebody wants to put a Jetta engine in here,
I
they
might
can
knock
do it.
that.
They can do it though. They can still do it. But
You see a little 1.9 TDI up in this bad boy.
yeah, you really ain't getting anywhere fast with that. But
No.
but yeah, you can
I mean, you
can
can.
do what you want.
You can do it.
You can make anything work.
Should you? Should you make everything work? Maybe not, but you can.
Yeah. So that's probably gonna wrap it up for this. Yeah, just some things to work out, or not work out, just some things to watch out for. And some tips on doing a diesel conversion. Catch you on the next one.